What would happen if we could change the course of the Gulf Stream or the other great ocean currents, or warm up Hudson Bay with atomic furnaces?
Extremely dangerous questions, because with our present knowledge we have no idea what would happen. Even now, man may be unwittingly changing the world's climate through the waste products of his civilization. Due to our release through factories and automobiles every year of more than 6 billion tons of carbon dioxide, which helps air absorb heat from the sun, our atmosphere seems to be getting warmer.
This is bad?
Well, it's been calculated a few degrees rise in the Earth's temperature would melt the polar ice caps.
Outside of the small town of Davidson, North Carolina, it's highly unlikely that you'd really take too much notice of 4 thin metal containers along a back road. Unfortunately, they just happen to contain one of the most dangerous substances humankind has ever created. Inside of those containers is a chemical called sulfur hexafluoride, also known as SF6. It's hard to believe that it was once used to fill race car tires, tennis balls, and even Nike Air Max shoes, and that it was once also known as the quote-unquote safer alternative to the ozone-destroying CFCs from the 1990s. SF6 is one of the most dangerous chemicals known because of what it can do to our atmosphere. A single pound of it heats the planet as much as 25,000 pounds of carbon dioxide, and unlike carbon, this immortal chemical will stay in our atmosphere for over 3,000 years. Now, SF6 is a synthetic fluorine-containing chemical released by heavy industry, electric utilities, semiconductor makers, and of course, chemical manufacturers. And do you know why it doesn't sound ominous or look horrific whenever you think about this chemical? Because you couldn't see it or smell it or sense it in any way as it's going straight up into the sky. It's hard for us to deal with something like that because people think it's a matter of, do I believe it's happening or not? We've politicized everything these days. And to make things even worse about this chemical, the EPA doesn't regulate it in any way, shape, or form. And these emissions, once they are released, they're essentially a permanent addition to our atmosphere globally. So just how bad is it? Well, in 2020 alone, 11 metric tons of SF6 was released into the atmosphere from electric substations by just one company. And this was equivalent to the annual emissions from 59,000 automobiles. Think about that for a second. The issue is this: the electric grid itself will need to grow 2 to 5 times larger in the next 25 years. And the emissions of SF6 will climb as well, because it has to meet demand of an already stressed system. However, any company that wishes to reduce emissions will only need to do it voluntarily, which is probably the most shocking aspect of this entire process. Now, SF6 didn't hurt the ozone layer, so everyone thought that this would be the magic bullet solution to the one huge problem that we had back in the 90s. But at the same time, it completely altered another. We see this in a lot of instances in the chemical industry. After decades of causing a problem through chemicals, they just swap it out for another. It's called regrettable substitution, and it always seems to just make things worse. However, these immortal molecules are not alone, as their fluorine-containing cousins, CF4 and C2F6, were also polluting our atmosphere for decades, and CF4 has an astonishing lifetime of 50,000 years in our skies. And they will always be doing the exact same thing, warming our planet. Think about that as well. People have created something that will never stop adding to climate change, ever. How could this happen? Ozone depletion, PFAS contamination, and now climate change. All of it, from the exact same chemical misery that we've always inflicted upon ourselves. These chemicals, every year, are also equal to the emissions of an extra 57 million cars annually. And that's just one part of this PFAS story.